What's up, everybody? How you doing today? Been outside making a fence all day with my family, enclosing our little pool we put up area. So normally my morning session didn't happen. So here we are at 4:30 in the afternoon, Minneapolis time, Minnesota time anyway. It's good to see everybody, talk to everybody. I enjoy my little daily chit chat and the comments I get. It kind of keeps me going every day, honestly, fighting the boredom of being in this same house all the time. But for the most part, I stay pretty active between writing music and talking with my kids and doing yard work. It's we getting through. But I had an episode all planned, but I don't really have the proper research done to do it. So I'm gonna do something just real simple. I'm going to show you another dozen Blue Notes that I love. And I can pretty much talk Blue Note all day, every day. I'm pretty familiar with the body of work that Blue Note did. I'm going to show you a few things I don't normally do. I'm going to show you a couple records that happened after the sale. And they happened pretty quick after the sale. They're great records, but already there's changes afoot, even in the art department. But Reed Mousley was right away at the sale, which was sad to see the greatest art department in history be reduced to now a less than art department for sure. Anyway, I did a dozen Blue Notes I love about 4 months ago, and it's one of my most watched episodes. If I happen to do a same record twice here, I don't think I am, but I just pulled these kind of quick. My apologies if I do. Someone will probably go and look now, but I'm pretty sure I didn't do any of these 12. So digging right in, we're going to start with the magnificent Thad Jones, one of my favorite album covers of all time. Beautiful shot in New York with the pigeons on the street. And Thad is kind of a bridge player. He's a guy that's somewhere between the swing bebop era and the hard bop era. And he's not really a hard bop player. He's not really a part of the hard bop clique at Blue Note. And he is a beautiful throwback to the players like Charlie Shavers and Sweets Edison, but he's also capable of playing with a great fire and veracity. He's a special player. He's also a very important member of the Count Basie group for a long time. He wrote a lot of charts for the Basie group. He goes uncredited actually on having or done the arrangements on a few of Basie's records in the 60s, if I recall. Thad and Mel Lewis, of course, started a group later on in the 60s and 70s. So Thad and the Jones brothers are around forever, Hank and Elvin. But this record album cover is just special Reed Miles. It's part of what makes Blue Note what it is. It's just a really timeless look. The sound is gorgeous. This is that classic records reissue. No, it's actually, or it's not. This is a Japanese issue. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's King or what it is. I don't care. It's not my thing. I just want the music. I want the music with the right album cover. That's what I want. I don't want the wrong cover. I don't want a shitty cover. I care more about the cover than the pressing, honestly. I want the right album cover because it connects with the music and it helps me file the sound that goes with that music. It's about creating a feeling and a vibe. And as you see, Thad has a nice, light, airy swing to him. He's playing with Billy Mitchell on the tenor sax, Barry Harris on the piano, Percy Heath, and Max Roach. An interesting thing about Max Roach, I'm often surprised where I hear Max. I'm so used to the fire that he breathes with Clifford and on his own MRC plus 4 albums. And Max is such just a bristlecone. He's just energy. And so when you hear him in a laid-back setting, kind of just laying down what's right for that track and that artist, it reminds you of how versatile jazz musicians are. And what they do on their own versus what they do backing somebody else, it can be a very different expression. Art Blakey's another guy. I'm often surprised, like, oh, that's Blakey playing that? Damn. That's under control, mellow, and perfect. And Blakey can be such a tornado. I love Thad Jones. He's really an underrated guy by today's collector standards. And today's collectors don't always have the greatest insight. I'm going to do these chronologically. This first one was like 1524, 1527. We're going to move along now to 1573. I think we're going to do 4 records from the 1500 series, 3 from the 4000, 1 from the 41, and then 4 from the 4200, which is later than I normally go with these issues, but I figured I'd be safe not picking the same record if I went to the 4200 sequence as well. This is a great record, but an underappreciated guy by the name of John Jenkins. And if I recall, John Jenkins was a Chicago guy along with Gilmore and Griffin, and they were Chicago tenors. And I believe Gilmore also played with Sun Ra. And John Jenkins, though, doesn't have a super long career from my memory. It's a cool cover. And of course, added to the bonus of admission here is that guy. You're hearing him right now, the great Kenny Burrell. I'm a huge Kenny Burrell guy. Anything with Burrell on it, I'll just buy it. Because I know that he didn't really do super corny stuff. If Burrell's on it, it gives me a barometer of what the music's going to be like. It's going to have some depth to it. This also features Sonny Clark, who I'm on record as saying is one of the great social and conscious drivers of Blue Note records. Paul Chambers and Danny Richmond, who plays with Mingus and has that great record on Impulse with the soup can cover. He's not a guy that you see around a lot, Danny Richmond, but again, great lineup, great early Blue Note stuff. I think it's all from one session by the looks of it. But again, you can't go wrong with early Blue Note. I wish John Jenkins had more for me to tell you about. But I'm not super knowledgeable about John Jenkins, honestly. But I do know I've always enjoyed this record every time I played it. He's got a nice, bright, fairly light tone. Looks like he plays alto, huh? Yeah. A bit of Jackie McLean in there, but he seems to have his own sound as well, which in jazz, that's a great thing. Moving on to 1581. This is a record that I think starts setting Sonny Rollins apart from some of his contemporaries. This is Rollins in some rare form. He does 4 records in total at Blue Note, mostly in the 1500 series, and then Nuke I think is 4001 or 4000 maybe even. So his stuff's all right there, 57, 58 on Blue Note, and he's kind of recording for Prestige in the early to mid 50s, and now in the mid to late 50s, he's doing stuff for Riverside and Blue Note, and he's about to take a sabbatical and come back with a bang at RCA in 63 or 62. But this is just live Rollins. And it's a small group. Wilbur Ware's on the bass, Alvin Jones on the drums. And then I guess Donald Bailey and Pete LaRocca are here. Must be from a couple nights here at the Village Vanguard. And these guys are just that great. If they can change out a rhythm section the next night and not miss a beat, you know. Rollins is fairly good at just expressing endlessly. And some players don't shine in a trio setting. You have to have a lot to say as a horn player if you're going to be the only horn. And he's not even relying on a piano player here. It's just, like I said, and he doesn't, in a lot of his career, he doesn't have piano players. So it leaves a lot of space for Rollins to fill. And sometimes people say Rollins sounds a little listless and lacking ideas. But he spends so much of his career as the lone soloist that he does have a lot of expression out there. He said so much because he's the only one speaking in that context on a lot of his albums. Kind of like Coltrane. You know, the other soloists on a Coltrane record aren't going to be given a ton of wax. And you might get a drum break or a bass break here and there, but for the most part, you're going to hear Sonny Rollins telling you some nice short stories. And Coltrane goes a little longer than a short story. Coltrane might actually become an epic. Moving on to Bennie Green. This is number 1599, making it the last LP in the 1500 series. However, the first Three Sounds record was issued as number 1600. And I've had some people think that that was a new issuing number sequence, fit 1600, but 1599, 1600, and then it jumps to 4000. So you really got to include that first Three Sounds record as the last of the 1500 series. But that's for another day. This is the great Bennie Green, soul stirring. And unlike the J.J. Johnsons and the Curtis Fullers that were playing a hard, driving, emotionally potent hard bop, Bennie Green is much more an older, bluesier, more soulful, melodic driven, not as much tempo driven. He's not necessarily trying to show you his chops as much as he is just trying to express how he feels today into his bone based on what song he's playing in and the mood of his life. You know, I think sometimes cats do get caught up in trying to express so much ideation and show you how great a player they are instead of just playing what this song calls for according to how I feel right now. And that's a fine line. And that's the thing that a lot of the Parker impersonators never really got, is that even if Parker was flash everywhere, it still was what needed to be done. He was playing for the piece. And I don't think Parker was ever embellishing for just the sake of embellishment.